Welcome back to BOC with Ketter. Today's episode is a fun one. I sit down with Ryan, a fellow angler I connected with a while back. We quickly realized we had a few things in common, but what really caught my interest was his experience in saltwater fly fishing. As someone who's mostly wading small trout streams, I couldn't help but pepper him with questions. So grab a beverage, settle in, and get ready to dive into a whole different world of fly fishing. This one's far from the driftless.
Do it.
How's it
Can
going,
you hear?
man?
Good. How's it going? Sorry about that. I
Oh,
usually
no.
record
I think it was a me thing, to
Riverside.
be honest with you. I don't think it was a you thing.
Nah, dude, it's probably me. I
It's
just
hard.
got these headphones, so I'm like, I got them for my birthday,
Oh, nice.
and I've been like working them out. I was wearing like my old Xbox headphones before, and all
That's
my
awesome.
podcasts. My girlfriend's like, I gotta get you something new. She's like, for your birthday. She's like, you look like a broken down like offensive coordinator from middle school.
Offensive coordinator. I love that. Just calling the
Yeah.
plays, just old
Yeah, got
school.
like a play sheet.
That's awesome. Do you like them so far,
Oh
though, the
man,
headphones?
yeah, I love them so far, man. I mean, I ones you had to turn them all the way up. It's like I'm completely tuned out to the the whole world around me.
That's nice. I might have to ask you the brand later because I eventually need to get something too. And if you like them, then probably get some myself.
Dude, so this whole setup, like the mic that I have,
Mhm.
was a Christmas gift. It was like it's a Target mic,
Yeah.
and then I'll ask my girlfriend the brand of
No.
these, and I'll shoot you over a text with them.
Sure.
Yeah,
Awesome, man.
dude, but
Cool. Well, awesome.
for
Let's dive
sure.
into it. I want to
Hell yeah.
welcome you to Ketter at the Cabin, beverage of choice with Ketter. You're my third guest, so thanks for coming on. And we'll start out by seeing if you got a little beverage in hand.
I do. I got a Modelo.
Oh,
I
dude,
actually
that's
got another one sitting next to me.
yes, yes. I that sounds amazing right now. I have an Izzy. I don't know what this really is, but it's a sparkling mango drink. My fiance buys all the beverages, and it's
Oh
like, well,
man.
I guess this is what I have. I just ran out of beer, so I was like, I'll have this sparkling water.
Oh man, it's not a good day when you run out of beer in the
No, no,
fridge.
it's not. Especially
It's
when it's like
like,
it's been nice out here too, so it's like I need a cold beer. Modelo
oh
would be
yeah.
perfect right now.
It's getting to be that time where it's like you
Yes.
break out the 25-piece set,
Hmm.
the lawn chair and 24 beers.
Dude, absolutely. Well, cheers to you, man.
Cheers.
Awesome. So I want to talk about saltwater fly fishing with you. You are in the Carolinas, correct?
Yes. Yeah,
Perfect.
I'm
So,
here in not too close to the coast anymore really. I was living in Florida where I did most of my saltwater fly fishing, and I learned a lot like just fishing down there. And what's really unique about Florida is there are spots in Florida where you don't even need a boat to really get out and do some really good saltwater fly fishing. But it's like, it's always nice having buddies with boats and stuff like that. I
yeah.
had a boat, but at the time it wasn't like a skiff or anything like that. But I'll get into that whole story here in a second.
Sure. Sure. No, that's awesome. And so growing up down there, is it like so you're a fly fisherman. Is it like do you start like fishing in like the creeks and streams for trout, or do you just kind of immerse yourself into that salt life, or is it kind of a good mixture?
So it was kind of a good. So for me, um, I lived in the Carolinas, and before I lived in the Carolinas, I lived in New England, and up there, it's either like smallmouth fishing,
Yeah.
bass fishing, or your fly fishing. I started bass fishing when I was up in New England. I had no idea the fly fishery that was up there. It's crazy up there. It's like fly fishing for trout, anything else, striper. But I started out actually bass fishing. Um, did all sorts of bass fishing in ponds around my house when I was younger in New England. And then we moved here in, I want to say '07. Um, where I was in the 5th grade, went through middle school, and got really into the bass fishing thing. And high school, we had a high school bass fishing team,
Mm,
Riley's Catch, and
sweet.
ended up fishing on that. And my junior year, we qualified for the wild card in Tennessee to go and qualify for the national championship. Didn't end up qualifying my junior year. Senior year, we double qualified for the national championship in North and South Carolina, and ended up going to nationals up at Kentucky Lake. And once I always fly fished, but it's like, it's that time of year where it's like, springtime. It's like you're going in bed fishing. Then like the late fall is when I really, and like the late fall and then the summer when it got too hot, I was always fly fishing. Like I had a fly rod around,
Mhm.
and after my senior year, kind of got out of it again because we had a fall tournament trail for our club in college. I fished it, and then spring we were always on the road, and the fly rod started collecting dust again. And my sophomore year, I bought a boat,
Oof.
and it's like I bass fish my tail off, and it's like you have a boat. I call it a BOAT, bankruptcy on a trailer.
Amen to that.
And I ended up I started fly fishing more because it's like I like hit a stump or something like that, or like to say I blow my power steering or something like that. You're not going to be bass fishing for a long
No.
time. So I was like, you know what? I really don't want to go through all that trouble to go and fix all that shit. Pardon my
Yeah.
French. I don't know if I
No,
can
you're good.
curse on the pod. All right,
Oh, of
cool.
course you can, brother. Of
All
course.
right, awesome, awesome. So I didn't want to go through and fix all that shit, man. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to go and have it be like an $800 bill at the marina.
No.
And eventually I get it fixed and I go back to bass fishing.
Yeah.
I got down to Florida and it was the same thing, but it's like, I was working and it's like, man, I really, really, really don't want to fix all that shit.
No.
I don't want to take time out of my morning before work to go and, drop it off at the marine place, wake up an hour before I need to, and just drop it off. So it's like, I felt like the need for my bass boat
Mhm.
was it's like if I get I'd always get that itch to go, and it's like when I did, it's like I'd end up just like slapping something together to
Yeah.
go and just get out on the water. But then like it starts adding up. It's like one thing after another, and it's like every time you bring it out, it breaks
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
like a boat does.
Yeah.
And that's when I was just like, you know what, like I'm kind of I don't really have the time to load up the boat and go and
It's a lot of
dump it
work.
in the Harris chain. And like COVID, I worked for the villages in Florida.
Oh,
During COVID, all those old folks realized they didn't have to work,
yeah.
and they were like, "All right, catch you later." All my help at the rec center like quit. I'm working like
No.
90 hours a week. Sucks. And it's like literally the only time I was getting to go and fish was when I was like throwing a fly rod in the car and just hopping around the ponds, or I'd shoot out to Crystal River, which is like 45 minutes. And then I discovered a place on the Space Coast that I'd say it, but I still got guys that fish it a
Sure.
lot and
Yeah.
like very heavily. Um, I just call it the Goon because it is Mosquito Lagoon.
Oof.
Don't need a boat to fish it. And dude, if you know anything about Mosquito Lagoon, um, all up the East Coast from like Florida up to like the coast of Georgia into South Carolina, and even out into the Outer Banks, sometimes you get a good tarpon run
Mm.
like during tarpon season. All those tarpon that run up that East Coast are like breeding down there at Mosquito Lagoon.
Really?
So it is like you go out there and you see all these tarpon. I have seen a creek, like a literal creek, about as wide as this. kitchen I'm in right
Sure.
now. It's not very big, but you have it chock slam full of like
Dang.
40 to 60 tarpon, dude. I'm talking, and you walk up in there, they're juveniles, but
Mhm.
even those juveniles, it's like hooking one of them things and watching them shoot out of
Oh,
the water like a rocket is so much fun.
oh, I bet it's
I
unbelievable.
started doing that, and I remember I hooked my first tarpon on a fly. It's probably one of the better juvenile tarpon I caught out there. And I was like, I'm selling my bass boat tomorrow. I was like,
Bye.
yeah. It's like, see you later. It's like this is probably the most addicting thing in the world. And it like every time you hook one, it's just straight up out of the water. You get like 6, 7 jumps out of them,
Dude.
and it is, dude. You want to talk about an adrenaline rush?
Yeah.
Oh my god, just like explaining it, it brings it all back. It's
Yeah.
like you hook like a good one, and you just lose all fine motor
Oh
functions,
yeah.
and
Just
it's just like your brain is exploding.
dude,
So I
that
was
is
like, no,
unreal.
this is pretty damn fun.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was just like, my bass boat's gonna be sitting in the driveway,
Yeah.
and it's like, I was like, I'm talking about selling my bass boat, and people were like, hold off, like you're gonna want to fish again. I was like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Or to like get in the chain 15 minutes away, but it's like I'm down here. I can catch a snook, I can catch reds, literally like speckled trout, all right there on a fly. I don't have to shell out an arm and a leg for boat gas. Don't have to worry
Yeah.
about shit fucking up.
Yeah.
And and I was just like, I'm content with this. So
Absolutely.
that's like really how I got into. I had a guy named John Grasta. If you look him up,
Okay.
dude, he was really the one that like got me into saltwater fly fishing, kind of
Sweet.
showed me the ropes. And ever since that, I just felt like I needed to give him a shout out because that's my guy.
That's your guy.
And
That's
I
your
talked to him
mentor,
like,
man.
yeah, dude, he helped me out with a lot. Still helps me out with a lot. Like it'll be a random like Tuesday. I work at a golf course. I'll be riding on the mower, cutting greens, and he'll be like, "Hey, this is a good guy for your podcast. So shoot me somebody's number."
That's awesome,
And
man.
so he was really like the driving force in me getting into like saltwater fly fishing. And
Mhm.
it's like I don't live too far, but it's like if I'm going to the coast, I'm bringing a damn fly rod. And it's like I don't care where we're going, I'm
Mhm.
bringing a fly rod with me. Like we went to Aruba last December, and I look like the biggest idiot walking through walking through the airport. Just I had a fly rod that was like sticking way up. I'm walking through the dang plane, and it's just
Just hitting everything.
nailing stuff. People are staring at me.
Pardon me. Pardon me. Pardon me.
Yeah, I ended up having to give it to my girlfriend to put next to her seat because it was one of those things where it was like it was bad.
Oh man. That's
Yeah.
awesome though. So when you're talking about these tarpon, like I know nothing about them. What is like an average size? You're saying juvenile. Like what's an average
It,
juvenile size?
so to be considered a juvenile, I think it's anywhere like those small, like from it has to be up to. I want to say it's like 32 inches,
Oh,
but inches, yeah, it's got to be inches.
sure.
It has to be. But dude, those tarpon, even like 32 inches doesn't seem big, but it's like those tarpon can grow into freaking footballs, dude. And
Really?
like you can have one with like a gut on it
Hmm.
that it's like they'll fight extremely hard, dude.
Oh, I
But
bet.
yeah, I think it's up to 32 inches FWC. It's either 32 or 40. I can't remember.
Okay.
But
No, that's big, man. I mean, the trout
yeah,
I catch
dude.
around here, if you're breaking over 20 inches, you're in trophy territory. So
Oh yeah,
that would be that'd be a personal best fish for me, regardless, on a fly rod.
yeah, dude. But like, there's a lot of really weird things about a tarpon.
Mhm.
So legally, if you catch a juvenile tarpon, you can take it out of the water.
Mhm.
But if it breaks that juvenile, like, can't pull it out of the water.
Okay.
Because if you shift it anyway, so like the insides of a tarpon are
Hmm.
super like delicate, and it shifts all the way down to the tail. So that's like if you see pictures of people with like those really big tarpon,
Yeah.
they'll be in the water like holding it because you got to keep them up and level. Because if you like tip them any certain way and you get them out of the water, their insides will shift all the way
What?
down to the back of their body and they'll die. Like,
Really?
yeah, crazy as hell. And FWC takes it super serious to
Oh,
the
I
point
bet.
where it's like I've heard stories about people that like take pictures with those big tarpon outside of the water. They'll look the person up, they'll like stalk them down and knock on their door and
Really?
be like, "Hey, like this isn't good."
Really? Can you get slapped with a
Yeah,
fine?
yeah, dude, you get slapped with a fine over that wild stuff.
Wow. I did not know
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
Interesting.
big time.
So they're just built completely different from most fish.
Yeah, they're built like it's not like a red drum or something like that where you can kind of be rough with them, and take them out of the water because that's a tougher fish. They're even like a trout, man. Those trout
Yeah.
are around those rockier areas. They're used to kind of getting beat up, and those red drum, they're always sitting down there bumping their bellies off. Like they're essentially they're essentially like one of those mud boats. So you see duck hunt
Oh
with
yeah.
like a
The flat
mud
bottom.
motor on it.
Yeah.
Dude, they're just banging off of oyster beds and sandbars. It's like your liability buddy in a John boat with a
Yeah.
case of beer.
I feel like they're kind of equivalent to like a carp up here. They're just kind
Oh
of
yeah,
bumming around on the bottom, just eating what they can, but give up a great
yeah.
fight. So it's like they're still fun to
Oh,
catch.
they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I get into the whole red drum thing down here when we talk a little later in the podcast, dude. They're cool fish.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I would definitely like to get my hands on one of those sometime.
Oh yeah.
So you're talking about, obviously when you're going out, you're bringing your fly rod with you. What is like your ideal fly rod setup when you're chasing these tarpon or red drum? Can you
Oh
walk me
man.
through what that kind of looks like?
So an Echo Boost Blue,
I like Echo. Yes.
dude. I love that
That's my streamer
Echoes, man.
rod. Yep.
Dude, Echoes over. Dude, Echo makes an awesome rod. The people over there are great people.
Do.
Um, just all around good guys. They got a good little team around them there. So Echo Boost Blue, Lamson Liquid. Dude, Lamson makes a damn good reel, dude. You could throw that damn reel out into traffic and it'll get bounced around between a couple cars and stuff. And I swear you could pick that thing back up and fish it. And that's why I think you see a lot of those guys that fish saltwater use those, just because that is a extremely extremely durable reel for
Yeah.
saltwater. Line, I got to go Airflow Superflow 2.0.
Yep.
Also the Orvis Tropical saltwater fly line, really good.
Okay.
But that Airflow makes awesome stuff.
They
And
do.
then Umpqua leader and tippet. Just personally, that is literally the only saltwater uh, fly leader tippet I've
Yeah.
used,
Same.
and it's awesome, dude. Like it's shock resistant or shock absorbing. I forget how to say it,
One of
but
those shock things.
yeah, one of those shock words, man. But just a really good stuff,
Yeah.
and it's nice and compact. So like you could throw it in like a drawstring backpack if you're like trudging around in the mud or something like that. You throw it in there, and it's like you want it to retie up. The
Mhm.
only thing I wish some of these fly lines, especially for saltwater, had was like the tapered leader where you can just
Yeah. Just
it's
tie on
your
right there. Yeah.
tie on right there.
Yeah.
A lot of those saltwater fly lines don't have that, and
Okay.
you got to use a nail knot tool. And it's like
Mhm.
me, I have the worst friggin' fine motor skills, man. And it's
You-
like I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, this sucks. But I think there are some that do have the tapered leader, and it
Mhm.
it affects it affects the performance in some way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
dude,
that's funny. I
dude,
use I'm like a diehard tippet ring guy. And because up here, with the trout that I'm chasing, tippet ring is going to absolutely hold up against really anything. So yeah,
oh yeah,
always cut my leader a little short, throw on that tippet ring, then tie on tippet anywhere from 6x to 1x tippet.
Yeah.
now works perfect. But you can feel a difference if you're just going straight on that tapered leader. You're like, oh, this is different from having the tippet ring on there. So
When
that's
I feel like a little, especially, sorry about that. I feel like, especially in saltwater, I feel like a little bit more confident. But it's like, it's if I'm trout fishing, I'm using that tapered leader all day.
oh
'Cause it's like
yeah, yeah, that's
all day.
yeah. What
Because
size?
it's like
Oh,
I'm
go ahead. Sorry.
I throw 7X or 6X mostly
Okay, when you're trout
for
fishing.
trout.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I'm trout fishing. And if you're looking at like leader and tippet for saltwater
Yeah.
stuff, I'd I'd compare it more to like the weight class sizes, almost like bass fishing, where it's 12 pound
Yeah.
test,
Yeah.
20 pound fluoro.
Sure.
But if I so yeah, I usually use a lot of 6X, 7X when I'm trout fishing,
Hmm.
and then I would do anything between 12 to 20 when I'm saltwater fishing. Sometimes I'll build out like my leader to
Yeah.
where I'll segment it, go from like 20 to 12 down to 10. So it just
Okay.
folds out a little better.
Okay.
Um, it's weird though, man. Like I got buddies that down in Florida that do like 20 to 15 to 12 to 10. I'm like, man, I'm just going to do a
I'm
couple of
just
them.
just gonna go.
I'm not taking all that time to do it, but it's like, it does have a little bit of a difference. If you're watching, like, you're double hauling,
Hmm.
it does fold out a little bit better if you segment it out like that.
Okay.
That's something that John taught me. It's,
Yeah,
it's interesting, but
that's good to know.
there are definitely, there are definitely days where I'm just like, I'm just tying on 20
yeah.
pound to like 15 and I'm calling it a damn day.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, that's funny you mentioned that because I'm tomorrow I'm going on my first float trip down the Mississippi after smallmouth and talking to
Oh,
the guy
sweet.
and he's like, yeah, we kind of have those sections. I'm like, whoa, sections? Like that's bizarre to me. And
Yeah.
he was telling me how it all kind of plays out and then it's very similar setup from that. So that'll be cool. I've never done that, so it'll be interesting to get after some bigger fish. It'll be very interesting.
Dude, it's super interesting, but you'll watch like say somebody breaks off.
Hmm.
Dude, you'll watch it. It takes some time to tie it like that, dude.
I bet.
It's interesting, dude. Like you got it's super like you're sitting there with all the different ones and you just it it's the old
Yeah.
wingspan test and then cut it and you're doing that with like 3, 4 different lines. It's like,
Holy cow.
man, like my shoulders are cramping up.
Yeah.
But
Hey.
it is interesting, and you'll see it tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's science, dude. Like, and you'll see how it folds out differently.
Yeah, that's gonna be. I wonder if I'll struggle casting off the bat with that. I'll be curious to see what that's kind of like for me, coming from those small trout streams to like having to put up a big rig. I'll be curious to see if that's gonna tamper on my casting skills.
I think you'll be fine, dude.
Yeah,
See,
get
that's
it
the
out there,
thing,
right?
man. Like, that's my thing is like if you're casting, who gives a shit? Like
Yeah,
there's no bad cast,
I agree. Yeah.
especially when you're trout fishing. Like you could be one cast away at all times from
Oh, absolutely.
your
Yeah,
your personal best trout,
100%.
especially fishing in those like small streams, dude. And it's like, especially up here, like here, in those small streams, like the wild streams, your bow and arrow casting and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I do a lot
It's
of
like
that.
I
Yeah.
fucking suck at it, dude.
Oh, dude,
I've put more damn
I've
hooks through my
put a few
hands.
right here.
Oh yeah, dude, I put them in my hands.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's
damn,
not
dude.
an easy cast. But like once you like if you get a good one and you land a fish, you feel like you are a god. You're like,
Oh yeah,
I just did this and that and it caught me a fish, even if it's a
yeah.
4 inch brook trout, you're just like,
Even
yeah.
if it's like a native like that, I'm like, shit, yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
Like
Oh,
I did that.
freaking
I'm
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I practice in the yard with that sometimes, and I'm sure my neighbors are just like, bro, what are you doing? But like, gotta get your
I've
reps in,
had
dude.
neighbors. I've had neighbors like my parents used to live in a neighborhood, and I remember one night we were all out. I think it was Christmas Eve. And my parents' friend Robbie came out. I was like time flies or something like that, killing beers. Comes out, he's like, that's a big rod in the corner." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "That's my 8 weight."
Yeah.
He's like, "What do you catch that with?" It was a 9 weight actually. He's like, "What do you catch with that?" I was like, "That's my saltwater rod." He's like, "Teach me how to cast this thing."
Oh
I'm
gosh.
talking. I'm out there like I'm out there like my rod, like my line's all tangled in the trees, like in our front yard. My dad comes out. He's like, "What's the fuck are you doing?
What are you
It's like
doing?
Robbie wanted to learn how to cast the fly
You're
rod, so
going
I'm out
through
here.
it.
Yeah, it's like, good lord.
That's awesome. Is that
But
9 weight your typical move
yeah,
then?
it's usually
8,
my
9.
typical.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool. Well,
especially for like those juveniles and those reds and stuff like that.
yeah,
Now it's like if you're chasing the bigger tarpon and stuff like that, or like your bulger reds, you'll want to bump it up a little bit. It's
okay,
like bringing a 9 weight to like a big tarpon trip is like bringing a knife to a gunfight.
sure.
You might as well just leave it at home.
Yeah, interesting. That's awesome. So, species wise, you've mentioned tarpon, you've mentioned red drum. Is there any other species that you like to chase, or are those kind of your big ones that you're after?
So it all really depends on where I'm at. I've chased bonefish a little
Yeah,
bit, stripers. Striper fishing is really fun, dude. And it's crazy. Like I got some family that still lives up in New England, and that's probably that like out there is probably one of the best striper fisheries in the country.
yeah.
Like you got guys like I don't know if you watch the Fly Lords,
Mhm.
the Fly Lords Flash Hop series.
Yep, yep.
You got those guys right there that go right out of Boston Harbor. I think it's Flyfish Boston
I've
right
heard.
there, dude. That you could go right out of Boston Harbor and catch some really really nice striper, dude.
That's sweet.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome. But mostly I'm like a tarpon guy,
Okay.
reds, the speckled trout,
That's cool. Yeah,
really anything saltwater that'll bite. I'll uh I'll chase it.
absolutely.
Sheep's head, shoot. One I haven't really got to chase personally is permit,
Ooh,
but I'll tell you what, I went chasing bonefish when I was down in Aruba. Tried to DIY it myself, and dude, it was like me. I was essentially just running around in circles, dude. Like it's so windy at those in those Caribbean islands, dude, that it's so hard. Like you're gonna want a 10 weight down there
yeah.
just because it's like you're casting in the aerodynamics like wind tunnel, dude. It's so hard to do,
Dang.
but
Did
yeah,
you
dude,
did
it's
you hook
fun.
into one?
No,
Yeah, I feel like
I jumped a couple like juvenile tarpon, but
yeah,
it wasn't. I was like, oh my god, dude. I was like, this is bad. It
yeah.
was so bad, dude. Like we had like a little cove that kind of
Mhm.
had a sand bottom, and it was like right out front of the Airbnb we had.
Oh,
And I
nice.
was like that's perfect. We're gonna be protected from the wind because it's not gonna get past that point. Man, was I wrong. I was like, that wind is coming right around that point, and
Just humming.
it is, dude. It's just humming. I was like, oh my god,
Yeah,
it's so bad.
that's where you go back and just have a couple beers and chill out.
Yeah,
It's like this is
dude,
the
that's what I started. So like like the beers they drink down there, it's Balashi and chill.
Mm.
And I brought a little dude, like two great beers if you're ever in Aruba, dude. Just phenomenal
Oh, I
beers.
bet.
Um, so it's like I had a drawstring backpack, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna tie on like a Clouser minnow and just walk around and essentially be like, I stuff my bag full of chill and Balashi and just walk around and
Yeah.
hopefully I catch a fish. It's like, you know what? It's just standing out there letting the wind just absolutely hum in your face. So you know what? This still isn't the worst place to
No.
enjoy a few beers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, fishing in Aruba, like, yeah, I don't think too many
it's
people can say they've done a whole lot of that. So that's really
it's
cool, man.
it's fun. If I were to do it again, I'd definitely go down there and get a guide.
Yeah,
It's like, you know what? It's
yeah,
like I planned a lot before that, and it's like I think it was I forget who said it. It was like Mike Tyson or somebody like that. It's like stereotypical. It's like, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
sure.
Stereotypical. I got there. I was like, this is the best plan. It's like it was literally like whoever came up with like the read option offense. It's like this is the best plan, and then except the read option offense was like very successful. Nah, dude, my plan to go down there and catch a bonefish was just. I definitely got punched in the mouth. My
Yeah.
read option offense got stuffed.
That's awesome. No, I feel like like I don't do a ton of destination fishing. I hope to in the future, but I feel like yes, some of those places like if you're gonna do it, like if you can get a guide. And like if
Yeah.
it's in the budget and stuff, like because if you're spending all that money to do it and get out there, it's like you might as well like at least try to catch some fish. But doing it yourself is way more rewarding. So I
Yeah,
props to you.
that's kind of where I was like, it's probably gonna be more rewarding if I go down here and I'm like, you know what, I'm not a bad fisherman.
Yeah. Oops.
I'm like, I can at least hook one. And even if I hook like a bonefish, I'm just gonna be tickled.
Oh,
And I was like, oh man. I got down there, I was like, this sucks. If I did Aruba again, I'd definitely go and get a guide. And
yeah.
I'd definitely urge people to get a guide down there. Because if you look at like any forum, if you're going down there, they're gonna say, "Oh yeah, go down to the beaches and stuff like that, like Baby Beach." If you go early in the morning, you're fine.
Yeah.
Anytime the sun starts getting up, dude, it's so crowded. It's not even
Oh,
funny.
really?
It's so crowded, dude, and you gotta get way out there
Huh.
to try and get away from the people, dude. It sucks.
Oh,
But yeah,
interesting. I wouldn't think
yeah.
it would be overpopulated. That's interesting.
Yeah, you did. But we're doing Arizona. This is we go on a big family trip every year.
Sweet.
We're doing Arizona this year, and I'm trying to go to Oak Creek. It's like, you know what? I'm more in my wheelhouse there. It's like trout fishing. I was like, I'm gonna go DIY there. I know a couple guys that I've kind of connected with that live out there in Flagstaff,
Sure.
and I don't even remember where we're damn going. I just get on the plane and I go.
Just go. Bring my fly rod and go.
Yeah, I'll grab a flyer rod and I'll just get on the plane. Just
Oh
tell
yeah.
me when we land.
Dude, that's what's
But
so cool about
Sedona,
fly fishing.
that's where we're going.
Sedona, there you
That's
go.
where we're going. I was like, I got to start kind of like reaching out to a few people that live
Mhm.
down there in Sedona. I connected with a couple guys. We're gonna try and get up and catch a few fish,
Oh yeah, you
maybe.
will. Absolutely.
So I was like, I'm more and catch a yellow trout. So
That
that'll
would be
be
sweet.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be sweet.
But
One more question for you. So when you're
yeah.
out chasing these fish, in the saltwater, what kind of flies are you using? Are you using like big streamer type flies? What does that kind of look like?
So it very much so depends. So I'm a big believer in the Clouser minnow.
Yeah,
So I always start with a Clouser minnow.
really.
I'm confident in it. Um, it's one of those things. It's like it's versatile,
Hmm.
and you know you can go catch a tarpon on a Clouser. You can go catch a red speck, all that, all on a Clouser minnow, and it's one of those things. It's hard to beat a Clouser minnow.
It is. You catch a lot of trout on it too. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
catch a bunch of trout on it, striper. It's pretty versatile, but it's one of those things too where it's like crustaceans, crab flies. I'm a big believer in the Koga's bonefish shrimp.
Okay.
Um, Eric Estrada actually ties a really good. I just call it the Estrada fly.
Hmm.
If you look it up, I'll send you the video, dude.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Um, it's a shrimp pattern, and then the pink puff. That's a good one. It's super easy to tie, and then gurglers, all sorts of stuff like that, man. But it is very hard to beat a Clouser minnow down in Florida.
Yeah. Interesting. That's good to know. I feel like, yeah, just thinking about like all the nymphs and dry flies I use up here, it's like what in the world do you use on bigger fish like that? And
Yeah,
Clouser minnow it's a very classic fly. I mean, it works literally everywhere, so that's cool to hear that it works down
it
there too.
does. But like the big thing with like saltwater fly fishing, you look at it, the hooks, man, like they're so much beefier because
Yeah.
it's like you never know what you're gonna hook. You're catching a tarpon, you're hooking tarpon that are just gonna bonk zzz, and then come out of the water. Those hooks, if you're using a kind of like a, let me see, I got one laying around here somewhere, but let's see, I'll find it later. But if you're using like a hook that you're say bass fishing with, or
Mhm.
excuse me, or you're trout fishing with, that hook's gonna bend out.
Oh, I bet.
So it's like I'll fish like a gamakatsu. Um, I want to say it's like a SC 101 or an SC something, SC 11. That's a good hook for like a Koga's I tie my clousers on a Gamakatsu stinger hook,
Okay.
and then oddly enough, like my deceivers and stuff like that, I tie on a Gamakatsu 1/0 drop shot hook.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. That's all like it's all bass hooks,
Right.
but it's like the bigger super line like bass hooks.
Huh.
Um, they're durable as all hell. I'll
Yeah.
send you a picture of them. You look at it, you're like, that's a beefy hook.
Like there's that thing's gonna take down anything.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I throw like an electric chicken.
All right, guys, that is a wrap on this one. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Ryan and I sure did. We had a great time chit chatting all things fishing. He got into some crazy stories about the critters you can encounter down in the South while you're fishing. Unfortunately, I could not get those in this video. We had some really tough issues with Zoom connecting all evening. So, unfortunately, it did not get in here. We have talked about reconnecting, whether that's having Ryan come back on BOC or me joining his podcast. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. We certainly did. BOC with Ketter, Season 1, Episode 12.